What's happening, everybody? Don't go anywhere. Welcome to the show. What is happening, folks? Thank you for being here today at All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. Today is going to be an insanely cool show. I'm excited to get started, but before we do, I want you to do me a favor. Go to this link below. Go to youtube.com/@accesskevin. And if you've not already done so, I want you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to be glad that you did because you can get over 350 other episodes of amazing guests. You have access to be notified about the upcoming guests. I've got our dear friend Annabella from Bow Wow Wow and some other cool guests coming up. So just ring the bell so you can be notified about the upcoming guests. And if you choose, you can become a member of this channel. It's not required, but members get access to exclusive episodes from people like Kelly Keegi from Night Ranger, Cy Kernan from The Fix, Midge Ure from Ultravox, even adult video superstar Ginger Lynn from back in the 80s. So lots of cool guests for members. But if you want to subscribe, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. So make sure that you hit it. Share this video with your friends. And this video would not be here if it weren't for my amazing friends at 5 Star Guitars. If you're interested in playing guitar, you want to get accessories, take lessons, anything like that, go to the link below. Go to 5starguitars.com. Everything you see there is available for no sales tax if you order from outside of Oregon. So Oregon has no sales tax, and you save 15% when you check out by using the promo code of All Access Live. Thanks, 5 Star. Appreciate you guys being here. Now, my next guest, I have known for about 23 years now. We're going to talk about those origin stories. You know her most likely from her days with Missing Persons, but you may even go back to historical stuff with the inimitable Frank Zappa. So all the way from her amazing billboard, I've got my dear friend Dale Bozzio. How are you, honey?
Hi, good afternoon.
I love that we've got all sorts of cool backdrops here. We've got the LA billboard. We've got some of your artwork up above. We can talk about some of that. You've got the shining like old Dale Bozzio hair, and now we've got the stunning new Dale Bozzio look. So
I got
thank you for being
a
here. I love the hat. Yeah,
hat.
you've always been an example of style and
Oh,
fashion. So
whatever. It's my style.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I know that you've actually been asked about that a bunch because over the years, probably the last decade or so, an artist that got quite a bit of notoriety, Lady Gaga, had a look that was very similar to a look that a 1979 era to 1983 era Del Bozzio had, um, which, if you're being imitated by some of the greats, it's not a bad thing, right?
Imitation is a form of flattery.
Sure.
Personally speaking, I don't think you should pick me as your idol.
Yeah, I do. I think so. I watched that incredible interview you did with Billy Corgan, and I
Thank
loved
you.
he had done a lot of deep dives in your history. So he knew your history, but he talked a lot about the legacy, that those early days left for him. And, for me, I would say for sure if there's a Mount
Yeah,
Rushmore,
he did. He's talkative.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I talk too much, but that's all right though. You love me anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you. Of
I,
course I do. I
I
admire you, and you have incredible uh, speaking. You have no delinquency in your thoughts, and it's very important to keep your thoughts from one moment to the next because they can change so rapidly. And it's a finesse that I saw that you had when I was watching the Bengal Girl. I
yeah,
thought, oh, she's the coolest ever. You know,
she's
and I knew that you would let me say something if I had an opinion.
yeah, of
See,
course.
because sometimes people have their structured thoughts or desired questions that they want answered for their own personal discrepancy,
Yeah.
right? In
Yeah.
general, if you saw Elvis Presley, I know you'd think of something really quick you'd want to ask him. I want to know who made his shoes. But someone
Is
else
that it?
wanted, but yeah, but someone else would want to know who cut his hair. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everyone's got a particular idea of how they feel the story went,
Yeah. Right.
but it probably didn't. I
Interesting.
didn't mean
Yeah.
to interrupt you, but
No, no.
that's what Corgan had a leash on. He's got a leash on the information and the answers that he wanted, the questions he wanted to have answers to.
Well, so the difference between Billy and I will say, I mentioned this to you before too, is that not having met him before, I sort of gathered an opinion about him from other interviews that I'd seen. I knew he was an intelligent guy, but I didn't realize really how deeply he would try to connect with you at an emotional level. And I appreciated that. I liked that he felt like he had like sort of specific questions he wanted to ask you, but he also,
Absolutely.
he really wanted you to understand that he felt you here and not just here, right? And
Well,
that
that's
was a
very, very kind of you.
yeah,
Because you're kind. You have that nature. Someone else might see it, different, like a script almost that was played out. He definitely wanted some particular answers, as I say. But
yeah,
I think that I think that the difference between you and him per se on an interview level. I've never met him before in my life. I know you for half my life.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I didn't even know how to take his approach until he said the funny thing that his birthday was in March. And then I
oh
knew
yeah,
immediately he was a Pisces, and then I knew immediately that would he would tone into my sympathy.
sure,
I'm very empathetic. I'm very sympathy oriented. I think I follow my heart first before my head, maybe
yeah.
like that kind of thing.
Damn it, I'm with you, and we get hurt so damn easily.
Well, all mixed up. You get
You
confused.
well, I will tell you, because of that heart connection, I will tell you one thing that happened between when you and I talked a week and a half ago and now. One of the things you said to me just before we hung up was you talked about forgiveness, and I
You
hate
want me to list how many people I forgive? No, I'm kidding.
oh, well, you know what?
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
We have mutual people in our lives that sometimes I would hold a grudge against, and I didn't like that characteristic of me, right? So one thing I'm really trying to do is to be able to let go, and I was already kind of trying to manage that when you had that conversation with me, and you said, and I'll give you my best Dale voice. You said, "Look, honey, at the end of the day, none of that matters, right? You're going to look at what really matters." And I, the
That's
people
close.
the people in specific that we were specifically talking about, I washed away some of the anxiety that I had, and I offered that hug that you mentioned, and I slept so much better the last couple of days. I'm telling you,
Good for you.
it was a burden that didn't need to be there, right? So, I was
Good for
thinking,
you. Good.
uh,
Good.
when you and I have known each other at a personal level, we've known each other at a professional level. I admit it, man. I mean, I fanboyed so hard on you when I first got to meet you, and I don't even know if you might remember the first time that we met. It was Miami
Probably.
Arena. I
Hmm.
think it was 2003.
Hmm.
First time I met, like, Ronnie Ron. You had Ronnie playing keys with you. We did that big Miami Arena. I was with Animotion at the time,
Hmm. Hmm.
and, shortly after that, you did the Nike Run Hit Wonder.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
because we were playing different stages at that gig, I didn't get a chance to talk to you there. It's where I first, I talked to Joe Travers there. Joe was playing, sitting in with you because he'd been doing the Zappa Plays Zappa, and he knew all the missing person stuff quite a bit.
Right.
Had and really interesting breakfast with Warren the morning after that show,
Hmm.
because if you remember, we were in the Gulf War at that point. There was a big, huge protest happening right on Sunset, I think, or no, Hollywood and Highland, right at the corner. There's
Okay.
a massive protest, and I remember
Uh-huh.
sitting and talking about like the crazy chaos of the world events at that point, while Warren's telling me about his new sex toy, and it was the most bizarre, weird, like like uh,
You gotta, you gotta
David
love
Lynch.
the, you gotta love the missing persons. You
Oh
know,
my god!
we're an eclectic group. I
How
mean,
many?
Terry was is completely blessed. Warren was his own finely cut character and cheekbones.
Yeah,
And me personally, I just thought that I was the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. I didn't really realize the responsibility that I had when I met those fellas,
sure.
because I took on kind of more than I thought would be. Par for the course. Like I just thought I would immediately become a rock star, get really rich, and drive a Ferrari. And
Yeah,
so I didn't know I had to work so fucking hard to get there.
yeah,
And I have to put every day of my character into the music, so you become almost a null to the people around you, and you have to become so physically focused on yourself and the position you take and the decisions you make at the time when you're doing things that you really want to say, oh, I want to do that for you, but you can't. You
yeah.
can't. I'm 3 husbands later,
3.
incredibly fine husbands. Terry
Yeah,
Bozzio for almost 10 years. Len Holness, an incredible entrepreneur, bodybuilder, and my husband Richard. He was the most handsome fella I ever met, and
yeah,
I just thought, wow, okay, that would stop me with a picket fence.
yeah.
But it didn't. I do have 2 fine, incredible sons, Shane
Oh
and
my
Troy.
god.
They lead my life. They're the most greatest gifts could ever be bestowed upon me, and I am grateful every day that I can know them, talk to them, see them, be a part of anything they do. That's all that kind of floats my boat.
Man, can I listen? I'm gonna raise my water up to that. Let's raise a glass to two incredible boys on your end, two incredible boys on my end. I have two amazing sons. One of them who's actually tuned in here from Thailand. So, Caleb, good to see
Oh,
you here.
whoa. That's
Yeah,
about my favorite Thai iced tea. Okay, I'm
yeah.
with. Okay, send it over.
Oh yeah, oh, man. Now that kid actually, he knows your catalog because there was one point,
Awesome.
there were a couple of times where I've been
Thank
blessed and,
you.
and the most fortunate to have gotten to get to play some gigs with you, right? And for me to play your iconic tunes was atop my list, right? It was a bucket list thing for me. I get to play songs that not only did your
Thank you.
ex-husband craft with incredible precision, he was the most unique
Terry
drummer.
Bozzio.
Yeah, yeah.
Terry Bozzio.
Terry was
Terry
an
Bozzio. Terry Bozzio is one of the top 10 finest drummers in the world.
yeah, and
I
unique.
I I I have to repeat that. I
Yeah,
I just have to, because I feel credited by that. I
yeah,
noticed that at such a long time ago, and I would try to reassure Terry Bozzio that this was the case.
yeah,
That's like talking to Picasso when you're
right.
speaking a foreign language. It just doesn't compute.
Yeah,
It doesn't compute in any of the fine geniuses actually that I've met in my lifetime. The same
yeah,
with Warren Cucurullo. The fella is a melody maestro. You can't write the songs he's written and proved himself so true to be.
right.
Music and the songs you write, if you're a musician, that's your proof of the pudding.
Yeah,
If you make, I don't know, sculptures, well, that's your proof.
sure.
It's just all in the mix, right? And I just took it a little further when they aborted me and they went south. Terry and Lauren, to bring back the subject of what we were kind of talking about, the
Yeah,
missing people persons. I had to go on. I had to go on. I couldn't just stop my life right there, like I'm sure they wanted me to. They
sure.
expected that I couldn't go on. They expected they would default me, but I had to just remember my faith in Frank Zappa.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's
that's
not
where
even.
that
It's not even in me. It's the faith that I have in Frank that could tell me so many times in the past, to hold on, to believe. to know that you're the one. You're the one that's doing this. You're the one that's carrying the float.
Yeah.
You're driving the ship. And I would go, okay, Frank, okay, Frank, okay, until it hits you in the forehead and you realize there's some decisions that you have to make. You're the only one here. You're the only one that can feel it. You know it when it's the time. You just know.
Yeah.
I can't say, everybody can come to the same conclusion. There's lots of artists in other kinds of bands that have separated.
Sure.
They go
Yeah.
on to other situations or do other things because that's just kind of what they feel like they wanted to do. I feel I got forced into the situation. I feel like at a point in time, Terry and Warren lost their faith in me. I had to pay attention that I didn't get lost in the mix too,
Sure.
because you lose your faith in your own abilities when your fellow musicians, your fellow heroes are telling you you don't got it.
Is that well,
That
okay. Let me preface like this part of the conversation by telling people if you're watching this and you did not know, all the stories that Dale's talking about right now, she does an incredible job of laying out this chronology of her history in this book, Life is So Strange. So this book right here is really the life story of Dale Bozzio. Like Dale wrote this, and with Keith Valcourt, right? You had a co-writer.
Yeah, Keith. Keith's been my friend since I posed in Hustler magazine. How many years ago was that? Like 30? And he
Yeah,
was a kid. He was a kid when I went there. And they
really.
interviewed me, yeah, for the text and all this other stuff. And then a few years later they came out and back said, "Oh, look, the missing persons girl did this Hustler stuff. Look out." They tried to catch me, blasphemize me, and be all these things that I was like rude and crude. Who
Oh
cares?
man. Okay, hold on a second. You can't gloss over this. We have to back up for a second before we even get there. And Keith and Larry Flint stuff and all that.
What?
People that know missing persons, I mean, most people that are really into music, they know the origin story of missing persons coming from Zappa's camp, right? But I
Some do.
one of the things that I just love is your story. This you're just a kid showing up, basically on Zappa's porch, right? Can you tell people about where you became sort of where Zappa, where you got on his radar?
I didn't know that I was on his radar. I actually, so oddly enough, but I was, say 16, and I climbed up this. I went to, I couldn't get any tickets to get into the Orpheum Theater. It was in Boston, right? And
Yeah.
my friends told me, Norman Seidel, actually, he told me, he said, "Listen, I'll be out front. I get the pen light, and I'm the maitre d'. I'll get you in." He wears a red jacket and this whole thing, right? And I'm going, "Okay, no problem. I'll bring my girlfriends." We all got dressed up crazy. We go there to get into tickets. And Norman says, "Dale, I can't let you in. Listen, I rented the suit a little earlier, and I'm really not a maitre d' here. I put it on and I act like this just so I can see the show too." I was in shock, literally. Okay. I'm 16, dressed up, glittered, totally made my turn my hair green. I was the biggest Frank Zappa fan on the planet. And so he said, "Only way you can get in is go around the corner. There's a fire escape. Climb up to the third floor. The window's broken. Just climb in the window. You'll be backstage."
Oh my
I
god.
had to think about it for like a half a second, right? I turned around. I said, "Norman, yeah, the man." I grabbed my girlfriends, right? We ran around. I go, they go, "What are you doing?" I go, "Come on, we're going. This is the way we go." And they're like looking at me. I'm out of my mind. I go, "Come on, come on." The thing's all rusted and crunching and squeaking like a fuck. I'm going up. I'm going. There's not even a hesitation,
And you
right?
were like 16 then, is that right?
Yeah, and I had
Oh
these
my
big
god.
giant shoes on.
Oh my god.
I had previously glittered them with as much as green glitter as I possibly could get on them. The glitter was still falling off because the glue wasn't dry. And I'm going up these completely crazy metal stairs. And I get to the window. There's the fucking window, and it's broken. It's halfway crookedly open. And I fucking climbed in. What else? I climb in. I'm standing on a toilet. I jump down off the toilet. And there's one tiny little door there. I just opened the door. It was a natural, habit. This is a natural habitation. I opened the door. And Frank Zappa was standing there, and he went, "What are you doing here?" Now I had green hair. Okay, I had a
Yeah.
green marabou top on. I had the littlest skirt possible that could fit, covering the vagina,
Yeah.
and these like big fancy fucking glittered shoes. He must have thought he was seeing things
Yeah.
because
But
because he knew that was a bathroom. He
yeah.
knew that was the backstage bathroom. He knew you couldn't fit in there except for one person, and it only went one place, in his dressing room.
My God.
I was right there. I was right fucking there.
It's 16. And so, I mean, Zappa was probably, familiar with people showing up in his backstage dressing room area, but not through the
Not
fire escape, not through the bathroom door, and not,
not coming in his bathroom.
yeah, and
You know
not
what I mean?
16-year-olds either with green hair, right? So,
No, no,
what
no.
was
Yeah.
his response?
I didn't tell him I was only 16 till later. So after the show, he says, "You got a car?" I go, "Yeah, yeah, it's out back. Let's go." He comes, he follows me and my two girlfriends, We all had backstage passes. They came in through the window too. So we go out through the backstage door and we all get in. My mother's got this Delta 88 canary yellow
God.
Oldsmobile convertible, two doors, but 4 seat, and the top was down. So we jump it over the seats, and Frank goes, "You drive?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm driving." And so he goes, "Okay." So he says, "We go out to eat with the whole band and everything. This incredible meal." Then he goes, "It's like almost midnight now, right?" I'm looking at the clock. I'm going, "No, no. My mother is going to kill me. I took this car. It's her car. I just met her like recently. I hadn't seen her in 7 years of my whole life. And I decided to take her car, not having a driver's license, but I said I kind of thought I could get away with it." So I did it just to go see Frank. I wouldn't have done it to go see anybody else, but I did it to go see Frank. And
Yeah.
so Frank goes, "Come on, we're going to Holiday Inn to my hotel. We're having a big party." I go, "Okay, Frank, I'll drive you to the party." And, my girlfriends can go to the party. They were 18, right? Susie and Debbie, they were already 18. And Vicky. So they go, I pull up and I say, "Frank, I can't go to the party." He said, "Why not? Park the car." I go, "No, no. I'm only 16, Frank, and I don't have a driver's license. I think I better go home now. My mother needs this car back. I kind of stole it just to come and see you." And he just looked at me. I, I don't know what he thought, because he never said what he thought,
Yeah.
but he reached forward and he put his hands on my shoulder, both my shoulders. He kissed me on the forehead,
Oh, man.
in the convertible, and then he got out of the car and he shut the door. And he just put his hand up. He said, "Goodbye, but I'll see you again."
Little
And
did
I
he
thought,
know.
but I thought that was utterly ridiculous. Of course, he's never going to see me again. I'm 16 years old. I live in Boston. I
Yeah.
don't know where he lives. I too know on the moon, maybe. I just I didn't know how to, I didn't say anything actually. I just waved, and then I had a joint in the ashtray that he refused to smoke earlier. And I took it out and lit it up, and I literally started crying, and just drove out of the parking lot and drove home. I left the girls there, my friends. They went
Really?
to the party. Yeah, they went to the party, and I went home. I got back to my mother's house, and as she came in the front door, I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I borrowed the car earlier. I hope you don't mind." And
But you
she
didn't
just
tell her
looked,
where you went?
yeah, I did. I
Okay.
did. And she's like, "Okay." Okay. So she finally realized that she was dealing with kind of a wayward child.
I was gonna say, this is not the first time that mom realizes that Dale kinda marches to the beat of her own drum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She got to know it a little earlier on than
Well,
the
I mean,
most of people. But
you
yeah,
you've told me about your
I'm
dad.
very what do you call that? Secure,
Yeah.
secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I knocked the phone down, sorry.
We're partying. This is good. Well, so you mentioned your mom kind of at least being a little hands off there, but from what you've told me about your dad, I mean, dad was kind of heavy-handed. He was a tough guy, right? Dad had some,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and like Italian, like a family guy, right? So we share lots of Italian, sort of like experiences off camera. I know, but was dad in the picture at that point?
My father raised me. My mother left when I was 9. She
Wow.
left, he and I. And then my brother actually went to jail. Um, this, like the next day. He was a bad boy. He had just got out of Vietnam and he went out with 3 of his friends and tried to rob a bank.
Mm,
Like, really crazy
yeah,
ideas. But that did happen. And so I had to deal with that when I was really it was so early for me to suffice the pain that I had no idea that was gonna be in store for
yeah,
me. I didn't know things were that serious. I lived in like a butterfly and a whim and a prayer and didn't really have anything to worry about until then.
yeah.
And my father, he raised me uh, righteously, royally, respectfully. He was a really gallant man, and the oddest thing was then when Frank took me by the shoulders and kissed me on the forehead. My father, that was the only way he showed me that he loved me. He took me by the shoulders with his 2 fingers
Wow.
and reached forward and kissed me on the forehead. He never hugged me. I never sat on his lap or had daddy hugs and that
Yeah,
whole baloney. That was not a part of his requisite. He was very proper, and he was a builder and a carpenter, and he built things from the ground up. He repaired every single fireplace in our home. We had 11 of them. They were from 11 different countries. One was from Paris, one was from Rome, one was Chinese altar. And he would repair them with the correct stones and pieces of wood and priceless paint that it would take. And he was very articulate in everything he did, but I learned his respect over the years because he stayed loyal to me as his daughter, and he never had a girlfriend. There was not a Playboy magazine in my house, and he did not say a swear letter word in front of me, or do anything crass in front of me. Um, he treated me, as I say, like a butterfly. I just existed in my own time frame, and there was a very big bond for me with myself.
sure.
that that space that I lived in there has created really almost an incubator for me to survive in my illusions and my, what do you want to call it, fantasy that would make everybody be able to understand what it means.
Yeah,
But I think somewhat maybe we have wishes, that we were I don't know, something or some way things were different, right?
yeah.
And so I would just I kept myself in that world. I didn't break it no matter what. So I realized at that age people were going to try to break me,
Yeah.
and that was her, my mother. She represented that she was going to break me, no matter what. And I couldn't allow it. It's really crazy to catch this drift, being so small, and
Yeah,
I was always very tiny also. And I always felt, awkward, and not that people didn't listen to me. I always had to say things twice to make them realize that, listen, like the house is on fire.
yeah,
Hello,
yeah.
the house is on fire. Nobody listened to me.
Do
And
you hear me?
I
Do
felt
you
that.
care?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I always say that to Terry every day. Terry, do you hear me? Do you care? I mean,
Yeah,
that's all those
yeah,
songs that are written. They were
Sure.
all about, the environment, and that's how everybody, kind of gets around. And it all sounds different when you're, like the flock of seagulls are from another country, or
Sure.
whoever says something about they fell in love. I don't know. I don't know falling in love, but I know falling out of a window. I
Yes,
don't
you
know. There's some
do.
things I know. Some things I don't know. You
I think
know.
you know falling in love. I think you do. I think each one of those relationships you talked about that formed those chapters in Dale's book,
Yeah.
literal and figurative book. As I've gotten to know you over the last 25 years,
Long
um,
time.
I've
Yes.
seen I've seen a depth that a lot of people might not realize that you have, because uh, you may be small, but you're mighty, right? And you give off this air that you can take care of yourself. Dad raised you in a way that you can take care of yourself, but there is a soft side of Dale, which I'm grateful that you've shared with me. That vulnerability is special to me, right? I
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh no, I'm not. Well, I could be a hardcore bitch, but on the other
Yeah,
hand, I know that I melt like an ice cube.
yeah,
Absolutely, for a
I,
total stranger, let alone my friends.
yeah,
I mean, but it kind of surprises me because I say to myself, "Where are all my friends?" Like that song by Bette Midler. I'm
yeah,
always singing that to myself. Like,
yeah,
where did they go?
yeah.
Where
Well,
did they go?
I mean, I know you've had some
Because
losses
you say love,
recently.
but I think that the friend is better to have.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
the love thing. Okay, great. You can say whatever you want, but you feel how you feel. I feel how I feel, and you will never really know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Hopefully
You
there
can't
there
feel
can
my
there can be
pain.
both. No, of course
You
not. I
you
mean, you
can't.
you can
You can't.
empathize, you can
No,
feel, you
sure
can
you
feel with
can't.
you,
Yeah,
but
that's why I like to say ahead of time, I'm empathetic. Of
yeah,
course I
sure.
am. But down deep, I can be a cold-hearted bitch.
Yeah,
And if I have to keep on stepping and I know you're gonna die, I'm gonna go.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm going to save myself.
yeah.
No matter what I do. I've said it and I promised my father, I promised him, don't let anybody break you.
Mm. That's probably held true for a lot of your experiences in life. I mean, I know about a bunch of them, and there are probably a bunch I
You
don't
can't
know.
let anybody or anything, he forgot the anything,
Yeah.
break you.
Oh, man. Well,
They,
we're gonna touch on that in a sec. Let me ask you, 'cause I there are a bunch of people that ask questions. One of the things that's important, Janine Self here, I know she's been to lots and lots of Missing Person fans. She's asking if you have any more signed books available. People still able to get Life Is So Strange?
yeah, I have a rare few left. I have a lot that I have to send out to my friends in the past. And
Yeah.
I just actually got some recovered from the company.
Oh, good.
It's been a struggle. They moved to Texas. I didn't think that they thought that so many people would request the book. It was kind of made as a collector's item because there's a record on the back.
Yes, there is. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I want to do maybe in the very near future, if possible, is to turn it into a movie. The movie would be really about Dale. It's not
Yeah.
so much about the missing people persons. I
Yep.
mean, of course they come and go. Like I respect them as we've talked about them in the past.
Yep.
But they don't really steer this movie. The movie has to be about Dale, what Dale thinks, the Dale that went through all these things that is still able to cope,
Yeah.
because the coping mechanism really gets shuffled, if you you recollect the past, and your friends that have came and gone so quickly here, kind of like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
You just don't know about the future. We all seem so solid in that we know exactly what we're doing, but we don't.
Right.
We clearly don't. And I just want to go back to that day when I drove away from Frank and I went back to my mother's new apartment. This was in 1972. And when I went back there, it was the craziest thing because I wanted to leave her again so bad. I didn't want her to tell me what to do because she didn't design me when I was a little girl. My father did.
Yeah.
And I in all due respect for him, he said, "You'll be a lady soon. You should go live with your mother and see what could be done, about going to school and such." So I did it because he asked me to. I did everything he asked me to
Really?
because I
Yeah.
believed he knew what was true and righteous and good for me. So I went to stay with her for a bit. Ended up going back to my father over and over and over again, asking myself, "What am I doing living with this like crazy woman?"
Yeah.
And she didn't. She just didn't understand me. She was so searching for her own self at the time, and I didn't know all the things in her past that were so wretched and tortured her so hard. And when she was so beautiful, and things come differently to you when if you were not so good looking. I think life is easier.
Mm.
It's hard to say, but I don't know, it just seems that so many things are expected of a really beautiful woman.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. And she didn't have it. She didn't
Mm.
have that kind of ammunition. She that I didn't really find out all the things about her until she passed away. So not that I wanted to jump the gun so much, but I ended up going to California. I'll get back to her, but I
Sure.
ended up going to California um, uh, as I was living with her because as a Playboy bunny, the Hefner asked me to come out there, right? So I was a Playboy bunny in Boston, became Playboy Bunny of the Year, 1976, so forth, so on. So
You
I
quote like it's no big deal. It's a big deal. How did I
Yeah,
mean,
that was a lot of work, it was a lot of fun. It was great times. Oh yeah, it was just so
sure.
long ago, it's like
Yeah.
okay. But so yeah, it was magnificent for me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to California. I'm going to Hugh Hefner's house, right? Because he called. And
Yeah.
so not me, my bunny mother. So anyway, I go there. He ignores me. I go into the meeting. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I drive 3,000 miles in this Firebird convertible with these two crazy Playboy bunnies. They're
Nice.
beautifully, so beautiful. They're getting a tan the whole way in bathing suits. We're getting like thrown off the road.
My
And
God.
then I get to Hefner doesn't want to talk to me. He won't talk to me. He's standing up at the top of this stairway, and I'm saying, "Mr. Hefner, listen, I have a previous engagement. Do you think you could come down here and talk to me about what's happening?" He wouldn't answer me. He wouldn't answer me. He wouldn't answer me. And I just got so pissed off. I I I just got livid. Like
Well,
I
what were
did
you
this like
hoping for from him?
well, I wanted him to walk down the stairs and talk to me in the office like a real person because
Okay.
all my Playboy bunnies told me if you walk up there, you're going to have to do something you will regret.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That was the
So,
obligation or the
and I'm
expectation
like this,
in the
like,
grotto.
I'm a prude. You may not think that, but I am.
Sure.
That's why I told Corgan I don't know love because I can't really get involved. I don't like to be touched. I don't like people to paw on me. I'm not the girl to go off to the massage bin. I really don't like to be seen naked. If nobody's there, okay, fine. A
Sure.
camera, but I can't really do it.
Okay.
I haven't really ever been able to be that person. Opposing what I dressed like on the missing persons and
Interesting.
all that stuff. That was
Yeah.
not a con or a sexual invitation.
Sure.
It just
Yeah.
people interpret, I say what they think they know, right?
Yeah.
I had a tiny little body. It was so little.
Yeah.
I had to make clothes to fit it. And if I didn't make something that was completely different than the girl next door, I'd be wearing the fancy dress the girl had on stage. I
Sure.
couldn't do that. We had to be number one. I had to
Yeah.
create a condition that couldn't be ignored. And I was trying to prove this to Terry and Warren and Frank Zappa, not the audience.
Yeah. That
I,
was your direction, your creative mind. This was a chance for
I
you to
had to
stand out.
prove to these genius musicians that I was even capable of being in the band. Are you
Mm,
kidding me?
yeah.
Terry Bozzio?
Well, do you wanna get to how that happened? I mean, so you mentioned so Hefner wanted nothing to do with you. You're
Right,
pissed. Yeah.
right.
So how
So
did we go
I
from
jump
that?
in. Yeah, I jump out. I turn around and go, "See it. Goodbye." I walk out. I turn around. I just leave.
That's
I
the end
just
of the
leave.
Playboy connection.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I just like really, you don't do that, and walk
Yeah.
out at you Hefner. It's like, it's not, Anyway, so I left, and I remember my friend Greg Chance. He said, "I'm going to be at the studio instrumental lots. Come down there if anything goes wrong." I'm like, "Oh, nothing's going to go wrong. I'm moving in the mansion." I had this whole thing planned out. As I say, anything can happen, and I'm used to it. I'm
Yeah.
so used to it now that I didn't even flinch sometimes. Like forsaken, good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The flinch, just
Yeah.
like that. Life changes. So I can't even explain it
Well,
how it
that's
happens.
a pretty
You know
healthy
what I
way
mean?
to
Like
handle and roll with the punches for
I mean,
sure.
I know a lot of words. You know what I mean? I'm really good at writing. I know a
Yeah.
lot of words, but this sometimes I wow, okay. That did happen. It did. It really did. That's why I say all the time that real life is more inviting to me. The news is more impressive than the movies. It's so bizarre, real
Yeah.
life, of what can really people do.
Right.
People are strange, let alone life is
Yeah.
strange. But anyway, so I end up, I end up, I make all these records with Frank Zappa, write one, two, three, four. I do all this stuff, the Hustler magazines and all this like naked stuff, and you think I'm so, a big shot. I'm 21 years old. Okay. Hefner says no. I end up walking into Frank Zappa's rehearsal studio. He's got a sign on the door, says, "If you value your life, do not open this door." I went, fuck it. That's Frank. I'm pushing the door open. Frank knows me. It's all good. And I just, pushed the door open. And Frank said, and he remembers me. He
Mm.
said, "Frank," he said, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here? How'd you get here from Boston?" I went, "Frank, you remember me?" He said,
Wow.
"Yep.
5
How
years
could I
later.
forget you?" That's
Wow.
exactly what he said. "How could I forget you?" I said, "Frank, I just lost my job." Because "You need a job?" I go, "Yeah. Yeah, Frank, I just left the mansion and I walked out on Hugh Hefner and I don't have a job. I don't know. I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what I'm going to do, Frank." And he said, "I know what you're going to do. You're going to be Mary from Joe's Garage. And we're going to make a record. You're going to be Mary from Joe's Garage." I said, "Frank, I came here to be a movie star."
Mm.
He fell down laughing. He fell down laughing on his knees. He cracked up so like impossibly. He was like hysterical. I said, "But Frank, I did. I came here to be a movie star. Now I'm hungry. Now I don't have any gas in the car. I have nowhere to go." He said, "Yes, you do. You're gonna go with Terry Bozzio. He's gonna take you home tonight."
Wow.
And I'm gonna
He
take
wingmaned you with Terry, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Right off the bat. He wanted me and Terry to be married for life and have children.
Wow.
He told me, "You gotta go back with Terry and have a baby." And like winking me out of one eye. And I'm like, "No, Frank, it's not gonna happen, Frank."
This is the first time you meet Terry? Oh, no, had you met him? You had dinner with him before, right?
No, I had
Oh,
never met Terry
oh,
before.
wow. Oh my God. Okay, so this is the first time, and Frank's telling you to go off and have a baby with the guy. All right.
So he says to me, "This is Terry Bozzio, this is Eddie Jobson, and this is Patrick O'Hearn."
Wow.
And Patrick ended up being the bass player in Missing Persons.
Right. Yeah, Pat was
And
he was a Portland guy, right up the road from here.
yeah,
Yeah.
phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal. And that just makes me cry because the next thing Frank said to me was, your voice will be a household word singing, and then you be a singer first and a movie star second."
Wow. Did he know you could sing?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just knew. I mean, he was a pretty omnipotent guy. He was a seer for sure.
I never sang in front of him. I
Yeah,
didn't even know I could sing myself. I
yeah.
mean, I was going to Emerson College to be a movie star.
But he saw the artistic qualities in you, but he already knew that you had a sense of fashion that was unlike anybody else.
Yeah,
He knew you had drive.
yeah, he he did. Yeah, and that's why it breaks my heart because everything I am, I owe to Frank. I owe
Mhm,
to Frank, and I owe to my father for letting me go. My
right.
father, who cherished me like a light bulb. He knew. Even the week before my father died, Frank died. I had to go see Frank. He was dying. So I went. I said to my father, Frank's going to die. You two are going to die on the same week.
Are
He
you
said,
kidding
go
me?
to, yeah, no, I'm not kidding. He said, go to Frank. Go. Go right now. Fly to Frank. And I said, he said, yeah. He said, I'll wait till you get back. And he
Wow,
did. He waited till I got back, my father. Frank died 3 days later, and my father died 5 days later. They
unbelievable.
died. They both died. And
But
I,
you were able to see
I,
both of them?
whoa, I was like, oh, okay. I really smartened up right then and there. I just took everything into my own hands. I had to really fly my own kite now. And I said that to Frank when when I was sitting with him in his house at 7885 Woodrow Wilson Road. When I sat there with him and I held his hands and I said, Frank, what are we gonna do now? Who's gonna tell me what to do? I was so brokenhearted, terribly. It's like about 25 years ago. I don't know, a long time. And he said, you're going to sing and you're going to play mental hopscotch for me. And that's what I do. I play mental hopscotch for a song I play
Yeah.
every chance I get to play it. A
That's
song.
the reason. When you start your set, you kick it off with that.
That's why we play
Wow.
that. It's his favorite song.
Oh my
He
god,
told
that's
me, and I said, I'll play that for you, Frank,
yeah,
for the rest of my life.
yeah,
And that's what I do.
man. Um,
It breaks my heart
well,
because it's so true.
yeah,
And Frank is buried down the street from me now at the Pierce Cemetery in Westwood. And he doesn't have a marker. There's no stone
really.
that Frank lives there.
That sounds like Frank though, doesn't it? I mean, Dale,
Yeah.
you knew him as well as anybody, and a lot of
And
times
then I didn't, though. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
it's like, and then I didn't. It was so, he knew me.
yeah.
He knew me, and I knew he depended on me to make him laugh. I knew that. I
Yeah?
knew that solely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Frank never kissed me except on the forehead.
yeah.
And he
Well,
did that 3 times. The day he said goodbye to me on the couch,
mm,
he took me by the shoulders and he kissed me on the forehead. That's what he did. And
he
he
was
said, I love you. He started crying so bad. And his wife called him Gail. She said, it's time to go. And he got up and he left. And I said, no, Frank, I want to stay here. I want to wash your hands and take care of you. But he said, I had to go. And I left.
oh,
Tears and tears and tears for days. And then he died, and I'm still in tears. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I
it's
mean,
just some things that I feel that the rest of the world will never understand.
yeah,
They just can't. They
yeah,
just don't know what makes you tick. And I wish I could give the courage that I've been able to be got from Frank and my father and Prince
yeah,
and Terry Bozzio and Warren Cucurulo. They believed in me. They believed in me and gave me the faith of their genius. It's something I will endear in my heart forever.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I got to stop crying.
Well, okay, I'm not gonna make you cry, but if you 'cause you brought him up, you, can I tell you, we're gonna talk about this guy. This dude right there was, probably the most powerful inspiration in my life. Prince was my all-time favorite artist. Your time with Prince and your stories are so unique and special to me. First of all, I wanted to share a picture with you that I got and see if you want to, because you mentioned this experience in the book, but I wanted to share. I don't know if you knew that I had this. Can you tell me about this event right there?
um, Gee,
You recognize that?
I can't.
That's
What is, what is
that's
it?
it's you and Apollonia and Hillary in front of the red Corvette outside that dinner that you had on Prince's birthday.
Oh God, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Now that is really bizarre because. Okay, so because I texted Apollonia yesterday and told her to listen to the Corgan Bozzio interview,
Oh yeah,
and then um, she said to me, "But you forgot to mention the red Corvette when we came out of the restaurant." And that was the day I went to dinner with Apollonia to tell her that I had a relation with Prince. And we were honest with each other to tears. And she is an incredibly beautiful person. She is she's really one of a kind. They don't make women like Apollonia. That's what I gathered there, and that's where that picture is. And that's Hillary. Hillary is
yeah,
both of, she's both of our lawyers.
yeah.
And Hillary's a big '80s fan. She's,
I
she's a
know
big
that.
big music fan.
That's how I met
And
Hillary. Yeah, we met
yeah,
at the
you don't even realize that. Then you go, "What? You're who?"
right.
That she's a genius. Yeah, she's a genius lawyer.
She and like, an accomplished trapeze artist now too, which is nuts, right?
Oh,
So
beyond. Oh, yeah, yeah. She's
yeah,
beyond. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. She's a rock star.
for sure. Speaking
Yeah.
of rock stars, Skip, I see that you're leaving here. Thank you. Skip Stone is a massive fan of yours, and he had a bunch of comments. So Skip, I'll get to some of your comments earlier, but he did say the Roseland
What,
Theater could have a
what's this?
repeat of
What's the skip?
1996.
What's the skip say?
Oh, he said the Roseland Theater in Portland could have a repeat of '96 with Missing Persons and a Flock of Seagulls playing together again. That would be fun. Thank you, Skip. He's heading off to see another show tonight. Uh, that was obviously that was before my tenure with a Flock of Seagulls, but you and Mike Score, you go back a long way with
I
Flock.
know Mike. I know Mike so long. He used to steal my hotel rooms.
Did he?
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Did he?
Yeah,
Was
he
it?
did.
Was he
Yeah,
trying
I
to
the
raid your
first.
green room?
I think the first time I met him was at the front desk of this hotel, and I'm like, "Dude, did you take my two extra hotel rooms?" He's
Oh,
like, "Well, maybe I did."
oh my god.
I was like, "Oh shit, he did."
The, the positioning. If it's not the dress, the rooms,
He'll pinch me for that one.
it's the green room goods, man. The between him and you're like for a tenure that you had Pondo playing bass with you for a while.
Oh
You,
yeah, I love Pondo. Yeah, yeah. I've had a lot of musicians,
yep,
grace my stage and be so kind to play with me. It was an incredible loss to lose Terry and Warren.
yeah.
But I kind of lost them over Prince because Prince came in the middle of me and the missing people persons.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he did. That's what happened there. Unbeknownst to the public, they don't really understand. They don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I was rehearsing every day with the missing persons people, and I was exhausted, and they were not listening to me. I had to go in with Patrick on the side on like the QT press, and Patrick and I were making like these like dance tunes almost, right, with me singing these like lines and like going really out, right, and Terry and Warren would like look at each other, look at us, and go, "No,
Really
no, no." I
interesting.
said, "Look, you know what? I'm making one song with Patrick. I am, and
Yeah.
I want it on the record. Okay, that's it. That's my only request." And we did it on this record. Actually,
Okay.
the rhyme and reason.
Yeah.
It's called if only for the moment. I thought it was slamming.
Okay.
And we played so loud. Oh my god, we had this incredible rehearsal place in the valley. Oh my god, the semi that lifted up this driveway into, and we could drive our cars in there if we wanted to. Which we occasionally did. It was awesome. It was awesome. We could make so much noise, so loud, which I don't do anymore. I,
Right. Sure. Yeah.
I
Well.
don't make that kind of noise
Yeah.
unless
Well.
I'm in full blown concert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, nowadays, oh, okay, I'll learn it. I'm like, you'll learn it? What do you mean you'll learn it? Well, it's already on record. I can tell you, all these musicians that are so geniuses, they don't even have to rehearse. They just learn everything right here in their headphones and they play it.
Show
And
up.
then, there's no loud music, and but at the time in the 80s, we were making these songs. We were we
Yeah.
were performing them right there and live. Terry would play the guitar. Warren would occasionally play the drums. Warren
Really.
loved to play the drums. Yeah.
Wow.
Warren loved to play the drums. I do too.
Yeah.
I didn't really play the drums. I just go, I'm like a jazz drummer.
Yeah. Everybody
We
wants to
actually,
play.
and the funniest thing is, dude, there was this place called Club 88.
Oh yeah. You just did
And
that gig.
yeah, and we played. I came out in what they call the crazy car, okay, a kid's toy car, right? Drove it out on stage
No,
like
you didn't. Oh my.
yes, I did, like a total stupid person, okay, and then proceeded to get up and play the drums.
Nuh-uh.
Terry went and played the guitar. I swear to God,
Oh my
I played
god.
the drums, and Warren sings. And
Wow.
the song is called On Vacation. It's so rare. I don't even think you can even find them on the internet. It's so
Sure.
way back in the way backs. But I did see it one time and I went, oh my God, I tried to save it.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
well,
would
let me
do
ask,
the
like, about that
funniest
too.
things
But
because no one judged us back then.
sure. Well, I mean, you had been doing the Zappa stuff, which was
Oh yeah.
experimental and it was
Yeah,
eccentric.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but
yeah.
do you feel
Frank
like
was a little odd sometimes. I
do you
mean,
feel like I
broken hearts are for assholes,
right.
titties and beer,
Yeah. Yep.
punkies whips. There's a
Right.
lot of oddities there that kind of rub off on you.
He's an artist. But I was gonna ask
Absolutely.
you, when Terry and Warren shut that down, that they didn't want you to have that song on the record, was it because they didn't like the song, or did they feel like they didn't wanna give up control of the songwriting?
I I don't know. They
Yeah,
didn't like it. They didn't like it.
sure.
No, they
Well,
didn't like it.
I mean, there's
But
all
I did it. But I did it. They gave it to me. It's on the
interesting.
record.
It's tough to be an alpha when you got a room full of alphas, right? So,
You can't. You
yeah,
can't. You have to take your place. You
right,
really do. And it was a third, and a third. And I had to stand. I had to stand up like a man in myself.
sure,
They were very, very strong, powerful people with their comments and their everything. Their musical ability
yeah,
overwhelmed me.
sure,
I can't to this day. I do not read or write music. I only hear it, and
mm,
that's it. I hear it. I
yeah,
can't do it any other way. I mean, I could write a record, 10 records, in my head, but I can't write it out for you. I can
really.
sing you the notes,
Is
but
that
I
what you
don't.
do when you like, with your
Yeah,
stuff currently? So you'll sing a
yeah,
melody and okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like Windows, that song. I just walked away and went, all I want is a window. All I need is a window. And I'm thinking, like, why do I need a window? Because it's the only thing I want anyway. Like, and I would just make up the notes and then go back and sing to Terry, and he'd play them on the piano,
yeah.
and we have a song.
That was it, huh? Yeah, I mean, the melodies are really unique, and I'm always fascinated by the songwriting process, especially when you've got multiple songwriters in a band, right? People
That's
like pe
tricky.
people oh, for sure. I mean, for a lot of reasons. I mentioned the alpha thing. If pride and ego get involved in what goes on the record, but then you've also got ownership of the publishing and money comes into play, right? So there's always that stuff. Um,
You know, that's a good point. You know, that's a good point. But that's why I've always regarded my respect for Pat Benatar,
yeah,
right?
her and
And her
Neil,
husband.
Neil
Yeah.
Charles, yeah,
I always respected them for the care and ability to keep it together.
sure,
You know, Terry and you know, you can't keep, you just can't keep a city girl on the farm.
right,
And I um, grew into the ability financially and opinionated, and finally got a few people to listen to me. By the time like this spring, by the time the this record came around, the third record,
yeah,
by the fourth record, I was up against the wall completely. It was their way or my highway. It was like either you shut up and do this record like this, or just quit. And I wanted to quit, and then I did quit, and then Prince moved in on the situation so I could financially cover myself. But the whole
oh,
time with the money and Terry and Warren, we were all independent. We were all a third, and a third. No
yeah,
matter what we got paid, it was equal. And so, not even that Terry and I were married, it was still equal. We were still equal on everything that we did. He paid for his car, I paid for my car. We split everything, and it was a good, healthy relationship.
yeah, it sounds like hold on, like, this is a total non sequitur. You mentioned the car. You've always been a fashion girl, and the earlier cars you had when you were younger, like borrowing mom's car, they were always super cool cars. What did you get with your first big check?
Actually, I got I got a BMW. I got a big bad like Asian
Yeah,
style BMW, complete Burlwood, and a
nice.
phone, in the car with
Classy.
Bose, heavy duty Bose speakers,
Yeah.
and everybody else went economical.
Oh,
My
yeah?
BMW was so big and bad, four doors, and the biggest fucking BMW they had on the lot, black interior.
Of course.
And they're like, "Why do you need that big car?" I go, "Because I got to take you fools with me everywhere I go." You know.
You hauling Terry's big ass drum set around in that
Oh, I
Ford.
used to set the goddamn thing up. You know, I'm
Yeah.
a good roadie.
Wow.
I'm a good roadie. I'm a good. You know what? I do everything I do, and you probably know this better than anybody. I do it 100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't cut any corners. I don't have any corners to cut.
Yeah.
If I don't do it and give it the best shot I have, I could possibly lose,
Sure.
and I get a lot to lose. Now I'm 70, and it's not getting any
Did you
younger.
just turn 70?
70, March
Oh,
2nd. Mhm.
unbelievable. That's
Yeah.
unreal. Okay, well, first, before we congratulate you on your birthday, I see that Hillary's there in the chat. So, Hillary, thank you for showing up.
Oh,
She said, "Hey,
Hillary,
Dale
my
and Kevin."
Hillary.
She says,
Oh,
"Thanks for
my.
the shout out, Dale. We all know that you are the rock star." So that's the truth. That is the truth.
Hillary's the rock star. And that's Daisy. Daisy
Oh,
agrees.
oh, honey, I hear your Daisy. My Edgar is not here right now, but my Edgar Allan Pug would love to probably meet Daisy someday. So we're gonna
Oh,
have
oh,
a little.
that's so sweet. What a great name.
He's yeah, you would appreciate his style. He's got a purple mohawk there. So hey, can I ask you something really quick about the book? Because
Yeah.
one thing, and here's another thing too, guys. If you guys are watching this and you don't have the book, you're going to be blown away not only by stories. Like Dale has more stories than freaking Netflix, right? Like you could just get lost in Dale's stories, and every chapter is a lifetime for most people, right? Like you've lived more lives than pretty much anybody I know.
I think
So
I'm a good storyteller.
you
I
are
think,
indeed.
I think everybody's got lots of experiences, and they just don't. they forget the details. The details, I think, are what is the most important thing. Really, in
Well,
anything you do, writing a book, making a song, living every day, right? The
yeah,
details. If you could get the details done right, you won't have to go back over it again.
yeah. You know what I think, Dale? While everybody has a story, and that's one of the things I love about doing this show, is that I could interview somebody that's, sweeping up backstage at the Greek, or I could talk to Dale Bozzio, right?
Right.
Uh, Everybody has a story, but the thing is with a lot of people, I feel like people are afraid to take chances. And I think the experiences you have, a lot of those have come from you taking risks. For you to go across country where you knew no one except for a 5-year-old encounter from Frank, you knew of your employer in Hef as a bunny, but you didn't know him well enough to be able to have him take your meeting, right? So that's a huge risk, and to be able to just go cross country, to walk into the fire escape and come in the back door, the dressing room, with Frank at 16. Those risks, I would imagine, didn't stop, right? I mean, after well,
You know
okay,
what?
so
You know
you
what was really
you
funny one day? Not to interrupt you,
yeah,
but
you're good.
this was a really risk. This was the really risky. I got an idea from these Playboy bunnies, right? Because I went to be a Playboy bunny the day I turned 18. I was determined.
Okay,
Let's put it this way, okay? So I went to this meeting with 250 girls, and they pick four out of these girls, and the four can come back and go to school for 6 weeks. If you can get through the school, they make you a Playboy bunny.
really?
Yeah.
What is what
So,
is what's the curriculum in that school?
well, you have to learn how to, be a lady, talk like a lady, walk like a lady, carry your tray of presentations, and you have to learn how to play pool, and you have to learn about the liquor, and how to speak like a lady to your clients, your people in the that are there, and how to carry yourself, pretty
Okay.
much,
Yeah.
wear your outfit and dress properly, and never have a flaw in your stockings, and have your nails as tidied up and your makeup on properly and look like you combed your hair. you
It doesn't
know
sound like it was, like, super sexualized the way, think of
No, no, no. It's not really that kind of thing.
yeah,
It's more like being a lady. It's presenting yourself properly,
sure.
which I found. I just kind of try to use the information I get, how I would need it. Like, really, I took it for myself. I
Yeah.
absorb things really thoroughly. If I want to know the information, I will, like Frank Zappa, for instance. He's self-taught musician. Everything that he learned, he taught himself to read
Incredible.
and write music in the whole 9 yards. I have been able to avoid that with my ear because it's so strong. I could tell you what the notes are, sing them back to you before you could even think what note that is,
Wow.
because I'm fast
Yeah.
in what I do. And some things don't break it if it works. Why go get it fixed if it's already
Right,
working for you?
right.
There's the way that you go through life, and only you, once again, can fluff yourself. Only you can buffer yourself. Only you can be your own biggest fan, and you can fake it till you make it. It's like
Yeah.
who says it? The Ramones. I fight for my right to party every day.
You
And
do.
I will never stop doing that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just, and I don't party anymore. I mean, I haven't had drugs in 16 years.
That's
I haven't
amazing.
had sex in 25 years.
I
You
haven't
know,
missed it.
so so
Haven't
so like, you don't think you can pin one on me, because you
yeah.
can't. You know what I mean?
I
That's the thing.
yeah,
When I was a young super chick, I screwed whatever I wanted, and didn't when I didn't, and did the coke I wanted to do, and drove the car I wanted to drive, and
yeah.
whatever it was, made those choices. But I thought, you're gonna live with this, Dale. Someday
Did you
you
think
will.
about that?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did, and I went full on. I just, I just did.
Well,
And
how
like I said, I would still be that way. I'm still that way, but I'm always kind.
yeah, I know.
I'm always kind. I'm a very, I'm not self-centered. I know I am, psychopath narcissist, but in my own way, I like my son says, you can't be a narcissist, you're empathetic. But
Yeah.
in my own way, I have my feelings. I say it all the time. If I could cure everybody's problems, I
Yeah.
would. I would. I would strip down naked and do it. If it took it, whatever it takes, cut my arm off. I would do it. Literally, I would do it. I would
Have
do it. I would
have
just
you
stand
always
up.
been that way? That like that
Yeah.
behavior?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
When you were talking about how even though you thought about having to live with yourself down the road, but you still went after things with a zest, right? I mean, like whether it was, life in general or drugs and alcohol. When you became a mom, I was going to ask how that sort of
Same
drove.
way. 100% mom.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Still am.
your
Never
relationship with
stopped.
Troy and Shane is phenomenal, and I love that you.
They're my, that's what I say. They're the reward.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
right? If
I
you have a child in this lifetime, I would expect you would think that you've been rewarded some way. That's a gift to life. Life is a gift. Women are a gift to life. If
Yeah,
it weren't for women and the mothers of the world, well, then have a nice day.
right.
I totally believe in the woman, and I believe in the man
Sure.
separately, and they
Role?
have to be deemed that way. It's not a racist, but let's face it, the man is completely different
Sure.
than the woman.
Yeah.
I can tell you that is almost like purple and yellow.
Yeah.
They're different.
Yeah.
They're just different.
You you mentioned those roles in particular, and the role that your mom and dad both played, in your life. Um, Things seemed contentious, with mom, growing up. Do you feel like it changed the way you parent your boys?
Everything that's happened to me mostly has set an impression on me.
Of course.
Of course,
Yeah.
they didn't really make a difference. I don't think, more so than the personal things that have happened to me without them.
Yeah.
Not so much them doing what they did, oh, because my mother was a bitch, I didn't want to be. Not so much like
Yeah.
that. I don't that that's irrelevant. I can only be the person that I am. I think that I'm a lot more capable of opening my heart and home to a stranger than my next door neighbor would be.
Yeah.
But I can't say I ever thought that I would be someone's mother. That was the last thing on my mind.
Really?
And no, that was not my idea of a good time. No, not so
Yeah.
much. I wanted to be a movie star. I wanted
Yeah.
to just be a movie star, single with a big giant pool, color it yellow if I wanted to, and have 7 fireplaces and 2 Dalmatians and a fancy car.
Yeah.
I didn't want children. I didn't want any of that life. I didn't even want a man. I didn't
Yeah.
want anybody. I just wanted to be by myself and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Who
didn't want him. I didn't want anybody to depend on, or anybody to depend on me.
Yeah. Things change, right? When you do have dependents, so
Well, you know what? I don't think I changed. I
okay.
don't think I changed. I just took them with me.
Yeah.
I took them totally with me
Do you,
everywhere I went. Since I saw them, heard about them
yeah.
in my stomach or anywhere else, I decided, well, they're going with me wherever I go,
I have
and
enjoyed.
that's how I did it.
Yeah. It's been great to get to know them peripherally through you. It's been, both kids I've known now and known since they were little, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And with as a dad myself too, I'm so grateful. I mean, well, okay, first of all, we're coming up on Mother's Day in a week and a half, so happy
Oh yeah, I
early,
heard about that. Yeah.
happy early. You heard about that? Happy early Mother's Day to you. I think with the relationship with you have with your boys, we both know, like, Troy is a big part of your life every day, and I think is Shane still living in the area?
Shane's married now, but
Yeah,
Shane the same thing. I mean,
yeah,
we're very bonded, Shane, Troy, and I.
yeah,
And I think a lot of that is from the Italian kind of ritual that I always thought my father had, even
Yeah.
though my father was completely independent. Because his mother and his father had passed away before I was born,
Really?
and he was pretty much on his own. And then my mother left, and I it was just me and my dad, and everything that he said I did, which was so independent, not really girly ish,
Yeah.
and I became so independent like him. But he he was a marksman. He was a serious shooter. He believed in guns,
Yeah.
and he had guns at every door when
Really?
I was a kid. I mean, it was if that was this day and age, they would have I would have been in a foster care home.
Sure. That many
You
guns
know,
around when you were, because yeah, you were a
yeah.
little kid when you were first exposed to guns. I remember you telling me that. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I never went to school when I was little. I
really?
never went to school.
He was trying to protect you?
Um, he never wanted to hurt my feelings.
Really? Yeah.
I don't know. He never wanted to hurt my feelings. He never wanted to feel imposition me in any way. He wouldn't even sit close to me on the couch. He
Wow.
he had a real royal feeling of the woman kind
Yeah.
of thing, and it wasn't going to happen here. It just wasn't going to happen. I
Yeah.
mean, there would be never any doubt in my mind or his mind that he was an incredibly honest man and a
Mm.
gallant individual, no matter what. And I have to tell you the truth. I was 9 years old for my birthday. He gave me a 45 bulldog snub nose, loaded,
9.
and said, "Put this under your pillow because you may need it. And if someone comes in this room, you take that gun out, pull the trigger, and shoot them."
Wow.
And so, okay. So that's what I did. That's what I did. And
Incredible.
that's what I always did. I always had a 45, but not anymore
Yeah.
because I realized that it's very possibility that's not a good idea
Yeah.
to do, and I don't do that. I don't mess with guns. I don't mess with drugs. I do the right thing every day. I try really hard to tell the truth,
Yeah.
even if it hurts somebody's feelings. I am rather blunt at times. I suffer many days from being sad or crying over people I've lost in the past, or things that I can't repair now because it's too late. And I live with that. I live with that, and I will live with that till the mystery of what happens to my life is over, whatever it may be. I'm here till the end. And I must say, two of my really dear favorite friends in the whole world committed suicide not too long ago, and they hurt my feelings deeply.
Yeah.
And I will never do that. I will never do that. And I pray deeply. Well, you can use that word, it goes one way or another, but I think deeply in hopes that before anybody would hurt themselves, they would understand that they won't feel the pain that is left behind
Mm.
to the one they said they loved.
Right.
And I want to make you feel guilty so you won't do that.
It's a
The
very
only way to stop somebody in their tracks is to tell you you're a fucking idiot to do that. Don't fucking do it.
selfish act for sure.
But
Yeah.
is it then? But then you ask yourself, how do we know really? How do you know? You don't know. You don't know. We don't know where we go when we die. There's many, many, many religions. There's so many things to be thinking about, and many philosophers beyond me and you and Dynamo.
Yeah.
There's no one that can ever tell you the God's honest truth. God, this God, that God, every different religion you have here to pick from. And you can pick whichever one you want to believe in, and anything you want, you can believe in. You can believe in your child. You can believe in yourself to begin with.
Sure.
That's the bottom line. You've got to really start here within. I don't like it when a philosopher tells you you're going to believe in something else.
Right.
I need to believe in me, or
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. And I've been doing this for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, inside out. I purposely don't have mirrors to look into. I am not that person. I just think to myself, what would be pleasant? What would be a pleasant presentation of Dale? And
Mm.
that's what I become. I brush my hair, I wash my face, I try to put on some clean clothes and just be a nice person
Yeah.
and try to think maybe you thought I was a little crazy. Maybe you'll know me a little better
Yeah.
now.
Right. Well, you answered the question that I oftentimes ask people about legacy and what's important, like what you would want people to remember you for. I think you articulated that pretty clearly.
Remembering me is your problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, well, you know,
I'm sorry. I'm
when
sorry. But
let me
I
just
think if you don't need time to you need to create your own memories. We need to go back on our own memories and all the things that have gone past us in the time that we've gotten up until today, which is today, right now. Here we are in our real life of saying what we are and what we want to be and who we thought we were. They'll change by
of course.
tomorrow. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
Good, really, it really good. It will. It
for
will.
sure.
The goodness will. The shine will decease. Evil will persist.
Yeah,
Life will become tougher every day
for
if you
sure.
don't exercise the thoughts of controlling the situation. You'll be sucked up.
Mm,
I know it.
yeah.
Okay. I remember one day on TV, as a matter of fact, with Terry Bozzio. He said, we're on the way to the interview. He says, don't say anything. Whatever you do, don't talk. I go, oh, really? They're inviting me and you to talk on some people's show or, Entertainment Tonight, it was, I think. He says, don't talk. I walk into the interview. I'm sitting there like this, right? Just like looking at the interview girl. It's on YouTube. And the girl says something to Terry, and Terry goes, Dale, well, Dale is what you call rules are meant to be broken. She
Oh,
breaks all the rules.
yeah,
That's what Dale does. And then I really shut up. I was like, oh my God, dude. Are you serious? On fucking TV.
yeah,
And you know what? I realized he was right.
yeah. He's not wrong at
He
all.
was right.
Yeah,
Was right. He was right. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, Terry. You must think I'm a complete maniac, mongrel person. Oh my God. And
no,
all
that
the things I've gone on to do. I've been singing all these missing persons songs for 40 years. I have sung the missing persons songs more with myself and other people more than I ever sang them with the missing persons
I'm,
people.
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. That's Well, okay.
That's pretty incredible to me.
That
You
leads
know,
to another point. But before we go there, I want to ask you one of the things in your book, in the photos, there are so many photos, and there's a incredible collection of snapshots of your life. Some of the stuff, from early days is just phenomenal. And in the beginning of those photos,
thank you.
there's a caption that says, I would say to my younger self, dot, 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 or what I would say to my younger self. And now that you're a mom of two fantastic young men, and you think maybe a little more about how your relationship and your communication is with them, because at this point, right, what we tell our kids, they're not listening so much as what they watch us doing, right? They watch your behaviors more. But
Mhm.
as they were growing up and they got to be the ages where they could potentially be sneaking in the dressing rooms of some venues or crash in the studio of Frank Zappa, when they were getting to those impressionable ages, what were you telling the boys as if you were talking to young Dale?
I couldn't change a thing. I wouldn't know how to. They, my sons, would say to me, uh, thanks for the memories.
Mm,
There's been so many. I let them in on everything. I never, ever, ever said no. They will never, ever deny me of being their mother. I did that on purpose so you could break your own rules. You
mm,
can wring your own neck. I will give you the rope to make a noose.
wow.
I can't stop you.
Yeah.
I want you to understand, but you won't. You just won't. You
Yeah.
just won't. I can't prove it to you enough. And that is the rule of the thumb. This is where the God level comes in. Above science, you are your own mystery. You are, as they say, your own movie. Well, you are your own example of. You want to bring this in front of a great God? What you did? You ready to stand up for yourself?
Yeah.
Can you be your judge and jury? Will you get out without a life sentence? Will you make it out as a righteous human being? Will you do it? Can you do it? Can you? Will you try? Some people can't do it.
Where
They
is that?
can't do it.
Do you meditate?
Comes from down deep, dude. Down deep. It's so bad. It hurts me. I can't make it happen for you. I can't. And then I would say it again. Can lead the horse to the water.
We lost Dale for a second. Darn it. Hopefully she can jump back in here in a second. While we do this and she jumps back in, let me just ask you guys. I want you to do me a favor because you might have come here late. Do me a favor and go to youtube.com/@accesskevin. Subscribe to this channel. You can go back through and you can watch the rest of this from the beginning. But I've got so many cool episodes on the show already at accesskevin.com, but you'll also be notified of the upcoming ones. Just booking right now, Annabella Lewin. You know her from Bow Wow Wow. She'll be on the show soon. Great guests. I was chatting with somebody yesterday to talk about Steve Lukather from Toto. We'll see if Luke can be on the show, but hopefully Dale jumps in here in a second. And I do want to say too, a bunch of you guys had questions in the chat. So let me just read a couple of these out here real quick and we can see if we can get Dale back on. Uh, Janice Medford, thank you so much. She had a funny story about when you were 16, you had an encounter with Dale in an Italian restaurant you were a hostess at. Boy, Dale would definitely have comments about Italian for sure. That was her family heritage. Um, and Craig Roberts, thank you for the chat and then the notes about Flock. Um, let's see if Dale pops back in here. I might text her real quick and just see if she can jump in. And I appreciate you guys being patient. She may be charging her phone because I think she's calling in from her phone. Um, and in the meantime, let me ask you this. If you didn't know, this rockin' book, Life is So Strange, that's the Dale Bozzio story. Missing Persons, Frank Zappa, Prince and Beyond from Dale Bozzio. Amazing collection. Like, as she mentioned earlier in the episode, there's a killer version of Destination Unknown here on 45 in the back, and a whole massive collection of great photos from everything her past, her family, lots and lots of missing persons. There's Richard Blade there. You get the early days. Look at Dale and her amazing missing persons heritage. So here she comes back. We got her back. One sec. Dale, there she
Oh,
is.
sorry.
Hey, no worries. I was just I was sharing some pictures of your book here while we have you on, and no, this is great. There were some comments from some of the people in the chat. This is funny. Janice Medford said she had a funny story about you. When she was 16, she was a hostess at this Italian restaurant, and you came in, and the woman who owned it had made a special dessert for you. The restaurant was closed to the public, so you could come and enjoy. And when the mama came out, she asked to meet her, and she said, "What's the matter with your hair?" So they she was not impressed by your crazy Dale Bozzio
From
hair. So
from Medford? From
uh,
Medford?
her name is Janice Medford. I think she may have been
Oh my
here in
lord.
Portland. Yeah, Janice is a Portlander. Um, but yeah, no, we with your Italian background, you had certainly a taste for fashion. You had art and also culinary. I remember reading in the book you had talked about wanting to start a food line where you're going to have your namesake as some pasta sauce. Is that right?
I did at one point in time, and then I just gave it up. I realized it was a little bit too much for me at the time. I had to, yeah, I let it go. I was going to give up music, and then I thought I would do something different, but then I went back to music.
Yeah. Oh,
You know, that's how music just draws you back in all the time. I can't get away from it. I've tried so many times to do
yeah.
something else. It doesn't work for me. You know, I guess, you're never happy with what you have, right? Kind
Well,
of
the
like,
grass is greener, but I do know that
yeah,
if you've taken any time away at all, the void that's there is, boy, it's unmistakable.
yeah.
We lost Mike Peters from the Alarm yesterday, and Mike was one of those guys. I'm sure you've done a ton of gigs with them in the past. That super super sweet guy, and reading articles about his journey and how he dealt with cancer for like 30 years. Right, he had leukemia, he had multiple cancers, and he fought that thing so hard. But one of the articles talked about how music fortified him. It's what carried him through all those treatments and all the surgery, and it probably kept him alive for 30 more years than he should have had, so
Mm-hmm,
it's an
mm-hmm,
important thing. Um,
mm-hmm.
so
Absolutely,
we talked,
absolutely.
there's the
Well,
music.
I mean, let's face facts. If you, as I was talking about life in general, I mean, I just don't know. Don't have any answers, and I try to listen to a lot of people talking about a lot of things, including poets or um, influences of people that they think they know what they're talking about. I don't find any answers, and I really don't. And when I had an accident, when I was a younger person, being 21, I actually fell out the window at this hotel and had this terrible accident and woke up again, once again, back at the apartment at my mother's house. That I
Oh,
went from that apartment to go to see Frank Zappa. I went from that apartment and drove all the way across the country to see Hugh Hefner. And then I fall out a window and they fly me all the way back and put me back in the apartment again.
I
And I
remember.
woke up and go, no, this isn't really happening, is it? And it was.
Wow.
I woke up, I was 22. I fell out the window at 21. I had to go in the hospital, be on this life support, all this like, tubage and all this stuff and medicine and morphine and all these drugs. And then finally when I pulled it all together and I started to see again a little bit at a time at my mother's that same apartment, um, in Somerville, like I never forget it, like it's just sketched in my mind. And she made it very beautiful for me so that I could get my eyesight back and learn how to walk again because I had broke my left kneecap and I broke my ribs and split my head open.
Unbelievable.
And it really, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I just I was thinking, I had watched all these shows on TV and stuff, and people just like fall a few feet and break their necks, and
Right.
the things happen so quickly. And I thought, oh my Lord, thank you, whatever. I thank the universe. I thank everybody here and everything I do, every day that I'm here. I'm extremely grateful. I really I'm extremely grateful that that happened to me because if it hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't have the passion that I do to go forward with all the things that I do. And I'm just, some days I get a little lazy, of course,
Sure.
but then I forget,
Oh,
forget I'm so lucky that I forgot how lucky I am. But most of the time I'm extremely grateful. And so, yeah, so from that apartment again, I'll just wrap this up with you, but I'll tell you where this story went. So one morning, so this is after I go to California. I'm now 22. I made Joe's Garage, been in these nude magazines, tried to become a movie star. It didn't happen. All and these months went by, and then I flipped back, have this terrible accident, fall out this window, and then wake up one afternoon and Frank Zappa calls on the home phone. That's the home phone, right? You
Yeah.
got to remember this is 1977.
Wow.
And I answer the phone. Now I'm limping because my kneecap's broken, my ribs are broken. They've healed, but I'm still kind of screwed up.
Yeah.
And I answer the phone, and it's Frank Zappa. Now, when does Frank call you at your house? Like what? So I go, Frank. He goes, "You all right?" I go, "Yeah, I'm all right, Frank." Because see, I fell out the window when Frank went to Japan with Terry Bozzio, and they went to do this tour. And Frank said, "I can't take you because we bought these tickets and they were really expensive. But you just stay here in Terry's apartment.
Oh,
Mm, you just stay here and be safe. We'll go back to work when we get back. We're only going for 2 weeks." And I was like, "Sure, Frank, that's cool." I wasn't married to Terry at the time. I was just his girlfriend.
yeah.
So and it happened that the next day is when that happened to me because my cousin had an asthma attack and I had to take her to the hospital. And the hospital was across the street from the Holiday Inn. And I went and checked in the Holiday Inn and waited for her to get released from the hospital to take her back home. But it was in the middle of the night, so I took her to the hospital. And these odd people came and knocked at my door and said they were coming in and they were going to rape and kill me. And they basically barged in and ran me to the window. And I started screaming for help and couldn't get the help. There was no help, and the man chased me out the window. And I fell off the ledge and hit the blinking sign of Holiday
Jesus.
Inn,
Oh my God.
smashed my head open. I reject that hit. I bounced off that and landed on the sidewalk, right on the ground, and I split my head open. And so what happened? It just so happened that the hospital was across the street. Lucky me. And so they were the best actually surgeons in Los Angeles. They ran the emergency ward and they took gunshots every day. And they took me in there and they sewed me up and put 52 stitches in my head. And the doctor held my hand, my left hand. He said, "Little girl, thank God for the rest of your life. You are a miracle to be alive." And so that's uh
That's
that's
a
kind of my motto.
early source of gratitude for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and then the call that Frank called that day after I fell out the window, went all the way home, was in life support for 6 months, and all this medicine and all these tests. They said, "You'll have a blood clot and you're going to die. You're never going to make it, little girl." And I was like,
Wow.
"I don't think so. I don't like that. I am not going to go along with that program." I had CAT scans every week, and I was finally getting really fed up with it. And I was just sick of morphine and all these drugs, and I just want to smoke pot and fuck all this shit. And then Frank called, and Frank said, "We'll pick you up tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow morning, and send a car for you, and you get on the train, and we'll meet you in New York, and we're flying to London, and you're coming, right?" I was like, "Oh, Frank, I'm addicted to morphine. I can barely walk. I'm using like an umbrella. I'm still limping. It doesn't matter. We'll get you drugs over there. It's okay. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll take care of you. We'll just take care of everything." And I half believed him.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, Frank." He said, 9 o'clock, the car's coming. And he hung up. I had only known Frank for a short amount of time. I
Oh
mean,
wow.
I wasn't his girlfriend or anything. I
Right.
barely knew the guy.
Yeah.
I was taking some serious chances here.
And again, your
So,
risks, man. You and your
I'm
risks.
only 22 years old. I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
My mother let me go. Like, she let me go. She goes, "Okay, fine. If that's what you're going to do, then that's what you're going to do." And I thought, "You're right. That's right. Exactly. You ain't going to stop me."
Yeah. Right.
I mean, so that's how that was. It was really belligerent on my behalf. I was, uh, really a fighter with those kinds of in that kind of attitude. It's attitude
Nothing
driven.
changed. Nothing changed.
No,
But,
no, no, no. It really hasn't.
yeah,
No.
you know, man, that you can't help but kind of like hear your heart, in this. There was a piece that I was going to read out of your book that
Hmm.
um, I missed the first time when you gave me this book a couple years ago. It was at the tail end of COVID, and you probably didn't know at this point, but there were gigs that we did together, and you gave it to me. But COVID was really tough for me because I started doing the show, and a lot of guests that I had on the show were other musicians and actors and visionaries and people that they're the
Good
passions.
idea.
Well, the passions they had were essentially what they did became who they are, right?
Hmm.
So their identity all revolved around what they did. And so when that stuff went away, when COVID and the outcome of COVID kind of took those opportunities away, it was um there was this massive identity crisis, right? The things that we did all of a sudden weren't happening. So you weren't anyone, you weren't, in your mind. There was this trick that you played in your mind. Guests that I had were really, really going through a hard time. I internalized a lot of that stuff too. It was really difficult for me in realizing my own sort of stuff. And there was a part in the book, one of the last, you're really at the epilogue in your book, you say, on March 23rd, 2020, we finished this book. The world outside my window was in dismay, to say the least. Uncertainty,
COVID.
yeah, uncertainty rules the streets. The future is bleak. With the state of the world as it is right now, I will pray for a miracle for every single one of you. I will pray to make the stardust come back and have you all well and at the top of your game. Always show the world your light. Share your light with the world. God bless you. God bless your world. I love you.
You know what? Now, I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It's dated that day,
Yeah.
but I wrote that a long time ago.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I needed severe confidence for myself. When everybody thought that I was a fool and I needed to prove myself true.
Mm.
I find that a lot. I find that this is the only time you will prove yourself. Why not say it?
Yeah.
I'm happy I wrote that book. It's a lot of honest, my words there are honest and true. And
Yeah.
I wrote that so that no one could say I did when I didn't, and I did when I did, because I did a lot.
Yeah, you did. It's
I
un
did. I did. And I had a lot of friends, I had a lot of boyfriends too. I had a lot of friends, boyfriends, three really good men that I married. And my I just had super friends from Playboy. One of my best friends right now is Gail. Gail, she's been my friend since the day I was hired at 18. She's 75. I'm 70.
wow,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, like, that's amazing to me, to
Yeah,
keep these friends through thick and thin,
yeah,
and that's what I mean about I say only one thing, and maybe we can wrap this up, but I am so grateful to you because you have the earnest courage and ability to link the paths of these people. The people you believe in as musicians and the people that you love and that you care about, you are linking these paths to people that could not understand the passage that we have to go through to kind of be sad
yeah.
or happy to make the music we make.
Amen.
Most of the music I made is just a serious, painful situations that no one could ever understand.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Just to say, but Destination Unknown, I couldn't see a thing. And I said to my mother this day when I woke up, get me a pen and a pad of paper, pencils preferably.
mhm.
She said, you can't see anything. I said, I know, but I can feel it. And
Oh,
I just
yeah,
started writing. Just because I couldn't see because when you have a coma,
yeah,
your blood sets behind your eyes, and it has to settle, and it takes months. It takes like 6 months for you to have full vision again. If you get full vision after you
Sure.
fall on
If
your head
right,
40 feet, most people don't even live to say
right.
what I say or experience what I have experienced or continue to do what all that I'm going to do. No,
Yeah.
I'm not about to just, I'm, that tried to happen to me
Yeah.
in this lifetime. And I think you got to get not so serious about the situation.
Right.
Really,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
right? Everything passes, and then you could have laughed about this yesterday. You should pray the power goes out so you don't even have to know what's
Yeah.
coming. Okay? Have an apple and call it a day.
God,
One thing I want you to know,
you're
it's
amazing.
very important to care for those who care for you.
Mm,
So easy. Care for those who care for you. Done.
I love it.
So all you got to do.
You are
I do that. I do
you
that a lot.
yeah, you do.
I
And you
do.
I
Anytime. Oh, and then there's this one little funny story. You
yeah,
can look it up in the Bible, but it's because I love you so much that I have to give you this information. And
okay.
you can edit these things and splice them out and give you little skits here and there whenever you want to.
Okay.
Okay, for the rest of your life. But this is one little story that's in the Bible. Now, I say the people that wrote that Bible were philosophers, you see. It wasn't solely written by God, G O D, capital letters. These were his philosophers that have different passages of what their thoughts from being within his atmosphere have proven. Think about it. One philosopher said that God said, three people talking here, you walk down the sandy beach and you see the starfish. It's the starfish. Okay, hold on. You know about the starfish, right?
You told me about this when we talked last, yeah?
Starfish. See
God.
him?
Yep.
See the starfish?
I see him.
I carried him home with me to take care of him because he had already passed away. When I found him, I could only think of this story that says God, from God, you walk down the sandy beach and you see the starfish. They have 3 minutes to live, to breathe the oxygen that we can't live without. They can't live with. They cannot live in this atmosphere. They cannot survive in your life out here. They have to live in the ocean. They have 3 minutes to live with your breathing. Think about that.
Mm,
3 minutes. Before then, they suck up and drivel. Boom, boom. If you pick up every starfish that you walk toward, that you see in front of your feet, you need to save them. You need to throw them back into the ocean. They have limited time to breathe.
mm,
That's your journey, to pick up every starfish possible and put them back into the ocean so that they can make more starfish to supply the world and give the oxygen. You need to make a path that's in front of you that's clear. No mishaps. A starfish story.
I love it. It's beautiful. Boy, we take a lot for granted. I'm glad you don't. I really appreciate you sharing your heart.
I wish I could, but I
You,
can't. And on a
you
lighter note, I really wish you laughter.
I,
Laughter is the only answer to
yeah,
all of this insanity.
yeah,
The little stories here and there they only last for a moment.
It's true.
That's why I wrote that song, If Only for the Moment. It's a
Mm,
really great tune. You got to listen to it by Missing Persons. Well,
okay. Yeah.
we all play it.
You and her.
Hmm.
Uh, Craig Roberts in the chat was saying that people only see on stage, the rest is the work. What a gift.
Absolutely.
Really, truly, what a gift you are to be able to share this. A lot of artists would not express this vulnerability with just the public. I mean, you and I have shared some moments back, on stage and in dressing rooms that I treasure. These are the kind of moments that I'm so grateful for. It's beautiful that you will share this with the viewers of the show, because I think it's important for people to see the humanity, the reality that Dale is. Sure, she's this persona on stage and this artist that is depicted very well in the book, hopefully very well in the biopic movie that comes out too. And if we do have that, who plays Dale? Who plays a young Dale?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
Have you
I'm
met
not
Gaga?
sure. I want to. No, no, I've never met her. I hear this all this like, comparison and such, but I think we're kind of have a lot of like in the attitude direction. Maybe I think, and her stylist was pretty hip on what I do,
Yeah,
but I respect her
sure.
and any woman in the power. I mean, it's all that's very important to me. It's very very important to me, and I have the greatest respect for men. I love men.
Yeah,
And I have the greatest respect for them. I love romance, as I say. I'm not so sure about the love word.
yeah,
Romance is the key to happiness. Absolutely. And I wish that the best to men, women, whatever you want to do,
sure.
whoever you want to be with, that's your choice in this lifetime. If you do the right thing,
Well,
that's it.
your
You
sentiment
know.
right there is romantic enough. I think that it's made for the movies. I can't wait for the Dale Bozzio
Well,
movie.
I care about all of us. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
I care that you might want to change your expression. Maybe you want to act like a zebra today because you're not so happy with being a peacock. I
sure.
don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
how would you like to be one of these animals that run around in the world and you didn't want to be a zebra. You want to be a peacock.
yeah,
So whatever floats your boat, right, is the way to go and the way to feel. But I just want to thank you to take your time to listen to me say what I say, because I don't know how ever else to live my life
yeah,
except on the cuff,
yeah,
constantly on the cuff, and keep it real. This don't lie about anything. And I learned that really from Frank, more so. I mean, my father was strict about everything,
yeah,
don't lie about this, don't lie. But he followed me everywhere I went. So it didn't matter if I told him I wasn't doing it, he knew it anyway. I'd climb out the window to escape. But Frank would say to me, never sing anything on your records or say anything in your lyrics that you won't say right here to me.
mm.
And that was Frank Zappa talking to me. And
Authenticity.
that was a little, that was a little intense. I had to think twice about what I might say to Frank. I
Uh, it-
really did.
the
All
ultimate
the
in
time.
authenticity, right? I mean, really, just being authentic and
Or
and
scared.
yeah, right. You know, Amy Jacobson in the chat, she says, "Holy buckets, you are delightful and inspiring," and that you are.
Mhm.
You are like
Thank you. Thank you
I
so much.
both
Thank you for
musically.
giving me this opportunity. I've jumped all over your words
I
and
love it,
to take over your podcast, iPod, whatever you want to call it.
honey.
I'm not that hip yet, dude, but I'll get there.
Nobody comes here to listen to me talk. You got the stories, you got the heart. I love you. I can't
I
wait to see
love
you on the
you.
road.
I love you. Me too. Me
Uh,
too. I hope I see you really soon.
yeah, yep,
The
you
way
for
things are going.
yep.
Summer's coming. Things will be better.
We got
You'll
shows
see.
coming up, baby. Well,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and lots of big hugs. Do me a favor and tell Troy thank you for helping this out, and
All right.
give your boy a hug for me, will you?
All right. Give your boys a hug for me.
I will, man.
All
Yeah,
right.
I will.
All right.
Dale
Tell that
Bozzio.
rock band of yours I love you.
Yeah, I'll tell him. I'll
Tell
give
Mike. Tell Mike my little story. I love him to death, of
I I
course.
I gave him a big old hug and a kiss after you told me. He does not like the hugs, but I made him do it anyway,
I
but
know. You got to pinch him, I say. Pinch him.
that's right.
Pinch the fucker in the ass.
We're off to Ocean City, Maryland tomorrow. What's up with
Oh,
you
there's your
guys?
opportunity.
Yep,
Grab him good.
yep. How about you? What's next for you?
Next to me. I play the whiskey in a few days, in a couple of
Yes.
weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, I play the whiskey. I'm going to work on. I'm trying to figure out what direction to go in. To do what to do. I don't know. One day flows into the next. So easy. It's
That's it.
okay.
That's
It's
the way to do it.
LA.
One day at a time, man.
LA, nothing happens here too quickly.
Yeah, yeah, that
Sorry, but it just doesn't.
I
I long to go back to Boston.
yeah,
My ex-husband is there. Yeah, I miss him terrible. And I wish, I could put the family back together. It's like
yeah,
putting the band back together. But times go by,
yeah.
and other people kind of venture in where you used to be.
Got it.
Someone will be sitting in your chair when
Yeah,
you're not there anymore.
yeah. Well, those are big shoes to fill. Dale's shoes are she might be tiny, but those are big shoes to fill for sure.
I love you so much with
I
all
love
my
you too.
heart.
I love you too.
Okay. Mwah,
Thank you for this
mwah, to
time.
you.
And
Absolutely.
everybody that got here late, jump back here on the channel and watch this from the beginning.
Oh, we
Never
can do this again. The stories never end. They don't
next
end here.
next time you and I do this, and we'll do the part 2, but we're gonna do it backstage someplace or someplace
Okay.
fun,
Over
alright?
dinner.
I would love it. Yeah, we'll go to your favorite Italian place. Sound good?
Okay, you got it. Okay, I'm
Awesome.
holding you to that.
Alright, you got it.
All
Dinner's
right.
on me.
Okay.
Dale, thank you
All
so
my
much,
love to
hon.
you, sweet boy.
I
You're
love
so
you too.
handsome and
Thank
lovable. A
thank
big hug
you.
and a kiss for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay.